Okay, will you please move down? We're done with the data analysis toolpath. Okay, so summary measures. Okay. So our next discussion will be about the summary measures under descriptive statistics. Okay, so remember that statistics as a subject is divided into two major divisions: the descriptive statistics and the inferential statistics. Okay, so for the descriptive part, these are the summary measures: the measures of location, the variation, the measure of shapes, which are the skewness and the kurtosis. Okay, so for the location, you can, give the last time I discussed with you the central tendency, the computation of mean, median, and mode using the ungrouped data, right? Right? Am I correct?
Yes po.
Okay. So remember that when you compute for the mean, the average, you can locate your score with respect to the mean in the distribution, right? For example, if the mean of the distribution is 7 and your score is 5, then your score 5 is located below the mean. Okay, and if your score beyond 7, like 8, 9, and so on, then your score is located above the mean. Okay, then for the median, I remember that the definition of median is that it is the value that cuts the distribution into two equal parts. So each part being 50% of the entire distribution. So which means to say that if you compute for the median or if you look for the median, it will tell you where your score is in the distribution, whether your score is 50% below or 50% above the median value. Okay? Do you understand?
Yes
And
po.
then, and then for the mode, as I have told you, any distribution will have the mean and the median, but may not always have the mode. Okay, because a distribution may have no mode. Okay, yan, okay, you may have no mode or may have multiple modes. Okay, so also I gave you an example about the use of mode in the production. Okay, so for example, if you are producing shoes, okay, uh, of course, kung nasa Pilipinas ka and if you were a production manager and you do not know the sizes of your buyers, then you might as well compute or you might as well focus on the mode by realizing that the shoe size of Filipinos would either be 5 or 6. Kasi ang mga paa ng Pilipino ay yun lang nag-range. Yun lang pinakamarami, 5 or 6. Okay? So, that's the mode, right? Siyempre, hindi ka naman puproduce ng maraming lower than 5 or 6 or higher than 5 or 6. Okay? Magpuproduce ka ba ng ang size ay 10 ng pinakamaraming production kung ang alam mo modal value would be 5 or 6, di ba? So hindi malulugi ka naman, hindi mabebenta yung mga malalaking sizes. Kasi ang karamihan ng Pinoy, ang shoe size ay 5 or 6, okay? Para sa Amerika lang 'yan, di ba? Kung magpuproduce ka ba sa Amerika ng 5 or 6 na sapatos, kung ikaw ay production manager sa Amerika, ha? Will
Hindi
you
po.
produce? Hindi. Bakit?
Malalaki po yung sizes ng paa po ng tao sa
Mas
Amerika. Malalaki po
ex
yung sizes.
exactly. Mas malaki ang sizes ng paa ng mga Americans compared to Filipino people. Okay, okay? So, kung ano yung pinakamarami sa palagay mo, yun ang point ng production mo. Okay? So, yun ang gamit ng mode sa business. Pero, wala talagang gamit itong mode. Hindi ito masyadong pinagagamit at ini-interpret kasi nga, wala siyang gamit. Useless ang mode. So, ito yung weakest among the measures of central tendency. So, again, ginagamit lang ito sa business of production or manufacturing units. Okay? So for the maximum and minimum, of course, you have the highest value in the distribution and the minimum value in the distribution, or sometimes they are termed highest and lowest values. Okay? And then for the percentile, quartile, and decile, so from the word itself, percentile, which means from the root word percent, meaning per hundreds. Okay, so that means that the distribution is divided into 100 equal parts. Okay, so each part being 1% of the distribution. Okay, that is why if you were asked to compute for the 75th value in the distribution, okay, so na-compute mo yung 75th value. For example, the 75th value in the distribution is 65, okay? So ang ibig sabihin na ng interpretation noon ay 75% of the scores in the distribution is below 65, and 25% of the scores in the distribution is above 65. Do you understand?
Yes po.
Bakit si Miss Reyes lang ba estudyante ko? Si Miss Reyes lang sumasagot. Okay? And another example, what if I ask you to compute for the 80th percentile? And what if you computed, for example, if the value of the 80th percentile is, for example, ay 70, okay? So nag-compute ka, na-compute mo, pinakompute ko ang 80th percentile, ano ka mong value ay 70. So what does it imply, or what does it tell you? How do you interpret the score 70? Ilang percent, how many percent of scores in the distribution is below 70? If I ask you to compute for the 80th percentile, how many percent of the scores is below 70? Yes, A22, do I have students here? Why 79 is may kakayan? Ha? Anong below 80? Uulitin ko ang una kong example, ulitin ko makinig kayo mabuti, okay? If I ask you to compute for this value on the 75th percentile, okay? And if the computed value, for example, is 66, okay? So what does it tell you? How many percent of the scores in the distribution is below 66? 75%. Because you were asked to compute for the 75th percentile, okay? And how many percent of the scores in the distribution is above 66? Uy. Yes, A22, if you will not recite, if you will not participate in this class, I will end this meet.
25 po, sir.
Miss Saral,
25 po.
25% of the scores in the distribution is above 66. Okay? Now, I ask you to compute for uh, the value on the 85th percentile. Okay? If, for example, the computed value on the 85th percentile is 70, okay? Ano interpretation noon? How many percent of the scores in the distribution is below 70? Simple analogy lang yan.
85% po, sir.
85% po.
O, ba't pinag-isipan niyo pa? Ay, una kong example ay 60, ang una kong example, 75% the value. Na-compute nyo, 66. May binago ba ako dun sa percentage? Wala naman, di ba? Ang sabi ko, 75% of the scores in the distribution is below 66. And 25% of the scores in the distribution is above 66. Ngayon, pag pinag-compute ka ng 85 ng value on the 85th percentile, ito yung din ang reference ninyo. 85% of the scores in the distribution is below 70. And 15% of the scores in the distribution is above 70. Plain and simple, hindi ba napakasimple lang? Clear? Am I clear?
Yes po, sir.
Yes po.
Okay, so next, quartile. Kung quartile naman, you are dividing the distribution into 4 equal parts. Each part being how many percent?
25%.
25 po.
25 po.
25% of the distribution, okay? So if you were asked to compute for the Q sub 1 or for the first quartile or Q or quartile 1, okay? So that is how many percent of the distribution?
25%.
25 po.
25%. So ang ibig sabihin noon, ang interpretation noon ay 25% of the scores in the distribution is below the first quartile value, okay? And how many percent of the scores in the distribution is above the first quartile value?
75%.
75 po.
75%, okay? Now, what about if I ask you to compute for the second quartile?
50%.
50% po.
How many percent of the scores in the distribution is the second quartile?
50%.
50%, okay? Which means to say that 50% of the scores in the distribution is below the second quartile, and another 50% of the scores in the distribution is above the second quartile. Is above the second quartile, okay? You understand?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes po.
So, anong katulad ng second quartile? Which value in the measures of location is similar with the second quartile? Now, if you
Median
compute for the
po.
second, the median, very good. Okay. And the median and what?
Min po.
Min po.
Ha? Magkapareho ba ang mean at saka median? Yung ba turo ko sa inyo? Ano ba interpretation ng mean? Same ba ng interpretation ng median? Ha?
Hindi po, sir. Magkukuha po ng average sa my min.
Miss Campo, what is your surname? Miss, ano tama ba?
Yes po, sir.
Ang tinatanong ko, pag nag-compute kayo ng second quartile, anong kaparehong value niya na parang kahit hindi pinapakompute sa inyo, in essence, kinompute mo na rin siya. Sabi niyo, median. Tinatanong ko kayo, ano pa? Ang sabi niyo, mean. Ha? Pareho ba ng formula ang median at saka mean? Pareho ba ng definition? Ha? Miss Camposano, pareho ba ng definition ang median at saka mean?
Hindi po, sir. Nagkamali lang po, sir. Kala po namin
Oh, so-
kasi is, di ba po kasi
So, paano?
yung parang sa gitna po.
Ay, hindi naman gitna ang mean.
Apo nga, sir. So, nagkamali po dun sa may min po.
Hindi naman gitna ang mean. Ang gitna, median. Kasi ang sabi sa median, it's the middlemost value. Oh, ano ba definition ng mean? Mean is the summation of all observations divided by the number of observations. Gitna siya?
No po, sir.
Hindi. Okay? So, hindi pwedeng magkapareho. Hindi pwedeng, pag nag-compute ka ng median, yun din ang value ng mean. No. Okay? But there would be times na magkapareho ang value ng median at saka mean at saka ang mode kasi ang distribution mo is a normal distribution. Okay? That's the only time that the median would be equal to the mean. You understand? But it's not all the time that they are equal. Only if the distribution is normal or Gaussian. Okay? You understand? So,
Yes
if
po.
you were asked to compute for the second quartile or Q sub 2, you are in essence computing for the median. Without me asking you to compute for the median, if I ask you to compute for the second quartile, you are in essence computing the median value of that distribution. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Opo,
BSA
sir.
22?
Opo.
Okay.
Yes po, sir.
What else is similar with the quartile 2 or with the second quartile and the median? What else? What other what other measure of location is similar to quartile 2 and to median?
Sir, yung ano po, sa mode ng tapos adjacent value po. Kasama po ba siya dun?
Anong anong mode? Bakit mode?
Di ba po sa
Ang
mode po,
mode
meron po tayong
Miss Ra-
not adjacent, tsaka
no no
adjacent
no no no.
value po.
No, Miss Res, no. You can never compare the value of the mode to be equal to the value of the quartiles, the second quartile or the mean. That's big no, okay? Big no.
Okay po, sir.
Okay? It's big no. Because, di ba sabi ko, Miss Reyes, kanina, ang isang distribution, posibleng walang mode. Okay? Pero, may median, may mean, may second quartile. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, pag pinag-compute ng second quartile, Ms. Reyes, at sinasabi mo ang second quartile ay equal sa mode din, hindi pala hindi pa, mali pala ang definition ng mode at ng second quartile. Hindi ba? So, ano bang kaparehan ng second quartile o ng quartile 2 aside from the median? Ms. Camposano?
Sir, yung ano po, percentile, yung 50th percentile po, sir.
Oh, kanina ko
Kapares
pa,
po siya ng
yeah,
quartile.
kanina ko pa hinintay yung sagot yan. Okay? You understand? Hindi ba ang 50th percentile is also equal to your median and to your quartile?
Opo, sir.
Di ba? 50% yan eh. O ibig sabihin, pag pinag-compute ko kayo ng 50th percentile, ang ibig sabihin noon, ang interpretation noon, 50% of the scores in the distribution is below the 50th percentile value and the other is above that value. You understand? So the 50th percentile, the second quartile, and the median values cut the distribution into two equal parts. So kaya pare-pare sila ng, kaya pag nag-compute ng 50th percentile, kahit hindi pinapakompute ang quartile at median, you are in essence computing for them already. Kasi pareho lang sila. Okay? What else ang kapareho nila?
Fifth decile po, sir.
Very good. The fifth decile. Okay? Clear? So pare-pareho yan. Decile 5, quartile 2, percentile 50, and median. Once i-compute mo ang isa sa kanila, you are computing the rest of the measures of location. Okay? Okay. Next, what about the third quartile? What is the interpretation of the third quartile? My God, wala ba kayong nung high school na ganito? What is the interpretation of the third quartile? The third quartile is how many percent of the distribution?
75 po.
75% po.
75%. So how are you going to interpret the third quartile? Uy, how are you going to interpret the third quartile? Baliktad lang ng Q sub 1 yan. Di ba ang Q sub 1, 25% of the scores in the distribution is below that value. 75% is above, right? O ang third quartile, ano naman ngayon? How many percent of the scores in the distribution is below the third quartile value?
75% is below the value.
Ha? Again? Mr. Tayo?
75% is below po.
Kompletuhin mo, Mr. Tayo. 75% of the scores in the distribution is below the third quartile value. Pakiulit.
75%
Of the
is
scores
of the scores is below
in the distribution
in the distribution
is
is below
the
the
third quartile
third
value.
quartile.
Kasi wala tayong example eh, di ba? So kaya sinasabi mo third quartile value. Pero pag may value na kayo, you have to indicate the value, okay? And how many percent is above, Mr. Tayag? Kumpletohin mo na yan.
25% of the scores in the distribution is above the third quartile
Value.
value.
Okay. Okay? You understand? What about if I ask you to compute for decile 7 or d sub 7? What is the interpretation of decile 7? Uy,
70% po, sir.
ay ano, kompleto, gusto ko kompleto sagot. Ayoko ng 70% po, sir. Ano, 70% ang ano?
75% of the scores in the
Hey.
distribution
Mr. Tayag, ang sabi ko, D7.
70% of the scores in the distribution is below the 7th decile value.
Okay, and
And 30% of the scores in the distribution is above the 7th decile value.
okay, very good. What about the fourth quartile? What about the fourth quartile? Q sub 4. What about the fourth quartile? What if you were asked to compute for the fourth quartile? How do you interpret the fourth quartile or Q sub 4? Anyone?
Sir, try po.
Sige.
Ano po, 100% of the scores in the distribution is below the fourth quartile value.
Okay. So may sense, Miss May Kakayan? May sense ba ang pag-compute ng quartile 4?
Yes po, sir.
May sense?
Ay, wala po kasi po ano na eh, wala na pong above. Puro ano na lang po. 100%.
Oh, di ba? Yun na yun eh. Yun na yung entire distribution, yung quartile 4. Kasi 100% na yun eh. Di ba? Kaya, hindi kinocompute ang quartile 4. Okay? Together with, ano pang hindi kinocompute?
Yung second po.
Ha?
Yung second quartile.
Ano second quartile, Miss Gonzales? Hindi kinocompute ang second quartile?
D10 po, sir.
Miss Camposano?
Yung D10 po, sir. Yung decile 10 po.
Decile 10 and ano? And what else?
Percentile 100, sir.
100
Per-
po ng percentile.
And percentile 100. Hindi kinocompute yung mga yan. Percentile 100, the fourth quartile, decile 10, we don't compute for them because they are already the 100% of the distribution. Kaya, tangang teacher lang ang papakompute sa inyo yan. Okay? Do you understand? Miss Gonzales, kinocompute ang Q sub 2. Okay?
Okay po, sir. Sorry po.
Am I clear about percentile, quartile, decile?
Yes po, sir.
Ano ang kapareha ng quartile 1? Which measure of location is similar with quartile 1 or the first quartile?
25th percentile po.
The 25th percentile. What about the third quartile?
75th. Ay, ano po, sir? 75 po?
Third quartile.
Okay po. 75th percentile po.
Okay, good. Okay? So, yun ang magkakapareho. Kaya, pag pinag-compute ka ng quartile 1 or first quartile, without me asking you to compute for the 25th percentile, you are in essence computing for the 25th percentile. Okay? Don't forget that. Okay? Next, measures of variation. So there are five measures of variation: the range, the variance, the standard deviation, the coefficient of variation, and the interquartile range. Now, what is range? Range is simply the difference between the minimum and the maximum values. Okay, so it's the maximum minus the minimum, max minus mean. Okay, or the highest value in the distribution minus the mean, minus the minimum or the lowest value in the distribution. Okay? So, itong measures ng variation, sinusukat nito yung spread. Gaano kadikit-dikit or gaano ka-spread out ang score sa distribution from the mean, okay, of the distribution. Yun ang gamit ng variation. Okay? Ulitin ko, the measures of variation or a measure of variation measures how clustered together or spread out the scores are around the mean in the distribution. Okay? You understand? So, ang range, highest lang, tsaka lowest value lang ang tinignan mo. Okay? Hindi mo tinignan yung mga middle values. Okay? Kaya ang range, para mode din yan. Kaya hindi masyadong ginagamit as a measure of variation. Okay? For the variance, ang variance at saka ang standard deviation ay magkakampi yan or related yan sa each other, sa one another, no? Ang variance, pag kinuha mo ang square root niyan, will become the standard deviation. And the standard deviation, pag in-square mo ang value ng standard deviation, becomes the variance. Okay? So for example, if the variance is 5, if the variance is 100, what is the standard deviation? If the variance is 100, what is the standard deviation? I will repeat, okay? I will repeat. Ang variance at saka standard deviation ay related to each other. Ang variance, kapag kinuha mo ang second root or square root, okay, becomes the standard deviation. Ang standard deviation naman, kapag minultiply mo sa sarili niya, tatagulugin ko na, okay, becomes the variance. You understand? Now, if the variance is 100, what is the value of the standard deviation?
10
10 po.
po.
10. Okay? And if the standard deviation is 3, what is the variance of the distribution?
9 po.
9 po.
9 po.
Okay, ganun ang relationship nila. Next, for the coefficient of variation, you just have to you just have to divide the standard deviation by the mean multiplied by 100%, which means to say that the coefficient of variation is always expressed in terms of percent. Okay? So given the standard deviation and the mean, you can compute for the coefficient of variation by dividing or by taking the ratio of your standard deviation with respect to the mean multiplied by 100%. Okay? And for the interquartile range, you just have to subtract the third quartile by the value of the first quartile. Okay? So, yan ang measures ng variation. Okay, later I will discuss the details. Okay? And for the skewness, ang skewness at saka kurtosis, these are measures of shapes. Okay? These are measures of shapes. Actually, itong location, yung central tendency, measures of shapes din yan. Actually, ginagamit natin yung mean, median, and mode to determine the skewness and the kurtosis of the distribution. Okay? Ano dong skewness at saka kurtosis? Skewness of the distribution will tell you or will measure whether your score or whether the distribution is positively or negatively skewed or normal. Okay? If the skewness value is 0, okay? If the skewness value is 0, that means the distribution is normal. Okay? The distribution is normal or bell-shaped or Gaussian. Okay? Pag sabing Gaussian, the value of your mean median and mode are equal. Okay? Yung sinasabi ko kanina, di ba, mag-i-equal, pag ang median nag-equal sa mean, nag-equal sa mode, then the distribution is normal or Gaussian. Okay? However, if the skewness value is below 0 or less than 0, the distribution is said to be a negatively skewed distribution. Ibig sabihin, kung negatively skewed siya, ang value ng mean mo is less than the value of the median and less than the value of the mode. Okay? So your mean is less than the median and the median is less than the mode. Do you understand? Negatively skewed distribution. Okay? Hey, are you listening?
Yes po.
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Now, what about for positively skewed distribution? Ang positively skewed distribution, ibig sabihin, ang curve nyo naka-lean sa kanan. Okay, sa kanan. Naka-lean sa kanan. Okay? Leaning towards the right. So, ibig sabihin noon, ang value mo ng mean is greater than the value of the median and is greater than the value of the mode. Okay? You understand? So, again, pagka greater than 0 ang skewness, the distribution is positively skewed. If it is less than 0, the distribution is negatively skewed. If it is equal to 0 or the mean, the median, and mode are equal, then the distribution is said to be a normal distribution or a Gaussian distribution. Now, for kurtosis, ang kurtosis naman will refer to the peakedness or flatness of the distribution. Gaano katayog or gaano ka-flat ang distribution? Or normal lang ba ang shape ng distribution? Okay? Kung normal, edi normal curve siya. Okay? Or Gaussian siya. Ibig sabihin, pare-pareho ang value ng mean, na median, and mode. Ibig din sabihin, ang skewness ay 0 or ang kurtosis is equal to 0. Okay? You understand?
Yes po.
Okay. Now, if the kurtosis value is less than 0, then the distribution is a flat distribution or is a platykurtic distribution. Okay? However, if the kurtosis value is greater than 0, then the distribution is said to be a leptokurtic distribution or the shape of the distribution is leptokurtic or matayog. Ibig sabihin, masyadong kumpul-kumpul sa gitna mga scores. Okay? Okay? And then, yeah, those are about the summary measures. Okay, will you please move down? Okay, discuss ko na siya. Tapos na ako dyan. Okay, tapos na ako dyan. Okay. 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 Okay, okay. Move down Alita. Move down. Wait lang. Wait. Okay. Yung sa example ng ano, papakita ko lang sa inyo yung, sige, paki-move up. Sige pa, baba pa. Baba pa. Sige pa. Sa previous page. Okay. Wait for a while. Okay. So, okay, sige. Please move down. Move up. Move up. Hey. Sige pa, baba. Baba pa. Okay. So dun sa last page, dito, bago yan, ayan. You see, you see the the mode, no? So one student got 1, 3, 7, 10, 13, 14. Okay? And two students got 5 and 12. Three students got 3. Got 3 students got 9. Therefore, the mode of the distribution is 9. However, mode may not exist in the distribution or in any in the distribution. Okay, that is if the frequencies are equal. Okay, you see, one student got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the frequencies are equal, therefore the distribution has no mode. Okay, okay, move down. Okay, down. Okay, for the range, so nakita naman yun, ito yung discuss ko kanina sa inyo, di ba? The highest score, 85 minus the lowest, which is 54. Okay? Pero okay, sige, down. Okay, for the interquartile range, how many scores do you have in the distribution? How many scores? Hey, Tutu, how many scores do you have in the distribution?
15 po.
15. My God, bibilangin lang, di pa makasagot ka agad, Tutu. Ano ba? Are you in this class or not? Kung may iba kayong ginagawa, mag-leave na kayo, okay? Nakakadalawang tanong ko sa inyo bago kayo makasagot. Ayoko nang po ulit-ulit, ha? Okay. So there are 15 scores in the distribution. So I will ask you to compute for Q sub 1. Hindi ba ang Q sub 1 is 25%? Okay? So what is 25% of 15?
3.7.
4 po.
3.75. So approximately 4. So bilang kayo mula sa 54 ng apat na scores. 1, 2, 3, 4. Di ba 60 yun? So 60. So the value of your Q sub 1 is 60. Okay? 60. So ibig sabihin, 25% of the scores in the distribution is below 60. Okay? And 75% of the scores in the distribution is above 60. You understand?
Yes po.
Okay. Now, for Q sub 3. For Q sub 3, ilang percent ng Q sub 3?
75 po.
75 po.
75. What is the 75% of 15?
78 po.
Miss Camposano, pakinggan mo tanong. Miss
11 po.
11.25 po.
Miss Camposano, makinig ka sa tanong, okay? Huwag mo ba sa sumasagot. Ang tinatanong ko, ano ang 75% ng 15? Ha? Ano ang what is 75% of 15?
11.25 po.
11.25. So, bumilang ka ng 12 scores sa distribution. Iyon ang value ng Q sub 3. You understand? So, from 54, 1, 2, 3, 4, down to 78. Therefore, 78 is the value of your third quartile or Q sub 3. Okay? So, which means to say that 75% of the scores in the distribution is below 78 and 25% of the scores in the distribution is above 78. Okay? You understand? So, for the interquartile range, you compute for the difference between their Q sub 3 and Q sub 1. Then that becomes your interquartile range. Okay? Now, for the variance and standard deviation, tingnan natin mabuti yung formula. Okay? You have the population variance denoted by sigma squared and sample variance denoted by S squared. Okay? So, ang formula niya is gagawin nyo lang, you get the mean of the distribution, then subtract each score by the mean of the distribution. Okay? So yung 15 scores kanina, yung 54 minus the mean, 58 minus the mean, 58 minus the mean, 60 minus the mean. Okay? So magawa kayo sa Excel, isulat nyo lahat yung 15 scores na yon, computin nyo ang mean, get the differences. Okay? That will be your activity on Thursday because I will not meet you on Thursday. Starting tomorrow will be the accreditation of the BSA program, okay, until Friday. So I will not be able to meet you on Thursday. So that will be your activity on Thursday. Then you just post your answers to the string in the Google Classroom, okay? Okay. So pagkukuha yung differences, square yung differences, and then get the summation of the differences. And then divide the summation by n minus 1. So in this case, what is n minus 1? If you have 15, if you have, yes, Ms. May Kakayan?
14 po, sir. Sorry.
14, because you have 15 scores, minus 1 is 14, okay? So you divide the summation of the squared differences by 14, okay? Tingnan niyo yung formula ng standard deviation. In-extract yung second root ng variance, will this go move down? Wait. Yung kita yung variance, yung formula ng variance. Yung kita yung standard, sino nag-share? Yung kita yung formula ng variance tsaka standard deviation. Kasi gusto ko makita ninyo yung pagkakaiba ng dalawa, okay? Tingnan nyo mabuti. Yung sa variance, walang radical symbol, okay? Yung standard deviation, may radical symbol. Nawala yung square nung sigma tsaka nung S. Yung sa population variance, merong square, naka-square yung sigma, naka-square yung S, right? Kasi nga, nag-extract ka na ng second root both sides. Kaya pagdating sa standard deviation, wala na yung square nung variance nyo. You understand? So, ilang pagkakaiba, kaya related sa isa't isa. Yung formula ng variance, nasa loob na ngayon ng radical symbol pagdating sa standard deviation. Yung power ng variance na to, wala na siya pagdating sa standard deviation kasi na-extract na siya. Okay? Okay, next please. Okay, so, wait. If there is a large amount of variation, then on the average, the data values will be far from the mean. Ito yung sasabi ko sa inyo kanina. Pag medyo malapad, pag medyo watak-watak ang scores from the mean ang reference natin if the scores are in the distribution are apart from the mean, then the standard deviation or the variance is also large. Okay? Now, kung dikit-dikit ang score sa distribution around the mean, okay, kung clustered together siya around the mean, then, ibig sabihin nun, small din ang amount ng variation mo. Ibig sabihin, mababa rin ang value ng standard deviation at saka ng variance. Okay? Sa statistics, ang gusto natin, maliit lang na variation. A variation that is near zero. Okay? You understand? Yung kasi ang magandang distribution. Yung mababa ang standard deviation. Okay? That is why, okay, so will you please magnify this one, yung comparing standard deviation? Okay. So, tingnan niyo mabuti. Yung data A, data B, data C, pare-pareho lang sila ng mean. 15.5. Pareho lang eh. Okay? Pero magkakaiba sila ng standard deviation. Ngayon, kung mean lang ang pagbabasehan natin para masabi kung sino maganda ang performance o pinakamaganda ang performance, useless. Okay? Useless, lalo kung pare-pareho ang mean. Sino na ngayon ang pinakamaganda ang performance? Di ba? Kaya nga pag may nagtatay ng averages, kinocompute ang standard deviation yan. Hindi pwedeng, tay ang average ni student A sa student B o pareho silang valedictorian. No. You have to break the tie by getting the standard deviation. Kung sino ang mas mababa ang standard deviation, then siya ang valedictorian. You understand? Is it clear?
Opo.
Okay. So tingnan natin dito. Ang mean mo, 15.5 pare-pareho. Ang standard deviation ng data A ay 3.338. Ang data B is 0.9258. Ang data C is 4.57. Okay? So, which among the three data sets are the best data set?
Yung pangalawa.
B po.
Data
Okay. So, it's data B. Okay, why? Why data B?
Na po yung may pinakamababang standard deviation.
Okay, because data B has the lowest standard deviation. Anong ibig sabihin? Pag siya pinakamababa ang standard deviation,
Magkakalapit lang po yung mga scores.
tingnan niyo yung, tingnan niyo yung mga circles doon, yung shaded circles, di ba magkakalapit sila? Correct?
Yes.
Yung the rest is scattered around the mean, di ba? So, kaya siya ang pinakamaganda na data set. Okay? Okay, next please. Measures of variation. Discuss ko na yan. Okay? Okay. Gamitin niyo itong data A, B, C, yung mean at saka standard deviation. Pag-compute ng weight plus move down, pag-compute ng coefficient of variation. Okay? So, paano ko? Sige, down pa. Ayan. Okay. Coefficient of variation or CV, you just divide the standard deviation by the mean and then multiply it by 100%. That is why I said a while ago that the coefficient of variation is always expressed in terms of percent. Okay? So it shows variation relative to the mean. Okay? Variation relative to the mean. Okay, lagi yun ang reference natin ha. Pag pinag-uusapan ng variation, ang reference natin laging mean. No more, no less. Okay? And the coefficient of variation is used to compare two or more groups. Okay? You understand? So ano dapat ang value mo ng CV para masabi mong maganda yung tawag doon, para masabi mong maganda ang distribution, ano dapat ang value mo ng CV? Anong expected value mo ng CV? Huy. Para masabi mo, kung CV lang, kung coefficient of variation lang ang pagbabasihan natin para i-declare kung ano ang pinakamagandang dataset or kung sino ang pinakamagandang performance, what is the expected value of your coefficient of variation?
Sir, mas mababa po, mas maganda. Kasi ibig sabihin po.
Mas mababa, mas maganda. Okay. So sige, tingnan natin. Ibaba natin, itaas mo yung punta ka dun sa previous page. Is Mika, do you have the calculator there?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Will you please divide the standard deviation which is, ayan, i-divide mo yan in 3 point.
%, 54%.
Alin yan? Yan una?
Data A po. Apo. 21
Okay,
po.
21 point.
54 po. Percent.
Okay. And then yung pangalawa?
5.98% po.
5.98%. And the last is
29.48% po.
29.48%. So, di ba ang pinakamababang percentage or coefficient of variation is data B?
Yes po.
So, kung coefficient of variation ng pag-uusapan natin, ang binigay sa inyo, yun din, ganun din. Kung ano yung pinakamababa, yun ang best data set or best performing group. Okay? Do you understand? Okay. So, next please. Any question? Wala, no? Okay, next. Okay, tapos na ako dyan. Okay. Okay. For the skew, compute for the skewness by getting the mean and the median. Subtract the mean by the median, multiply it by 3, divided by the standard deviation. Okay? So, yun sinasabi sa inyo kanina, positively skewed, so leaning to the, will you please move the, ayan. Positively skewed, leaning to the right, negatively skewed, leaning to the left. Okay? And then symmetrical, which means to say that the mean, median, and mode are equal. Okay? Therefore, the distribution is said to be symmetrical or a bell shape or Gaussian or normal distribution. Okay? Clear?
Yes po.
So, yung bell shape, kaya gusto natin yan kasi mirror image yan. Ano ibig sabihin ng mirror image? Mag-draw ka ng vertical line sa bell shape na yan, di ba? Pag nag-draw ka ng vertical, nakita naman sa image, di ba? Yung image sa left is exactly the same image at the right. Okay? Magkamukha lang siya. You understand? Hey,
Yes
do you
po.
understand?
Yes po.
Symmetrical ang distribution. Ibig sabihin ay normal ang distribution. So, ang ibig sabihin kasi niyan ay, halimbawa, the average IQ scores of Filipinos is 100. Okay? Ulitin ko the average IQ score of Filipinos is 100. So what does it imply with respect to the normal curve? Ulitin ko the average IQ scores of Filipinos is 100. What does it mean or what does it imply with respect to the normal curve? Ano implication? Nakalimutan na kaagad.
Sir, equal po yung distribution sa mean, median, and mode.
Wala naman tayong compute na mean, median, and mode, bis kakayan. Meron ba akong binigay na mean, median, and mode?
Okay, wala po.
Wala. Mean lang ang binigay ko, di ba? So, kung normally distributed yun, automatic, equal ang median at saka mode. Di ba, Miss Kakayan?
Apo.
Ang tinatanong ko is, what does it imply? Ang sinasabi ko, the average IQ scores of Filipino is 100. What does it mean? What does it tell you with respect to the normal curve? So it's improper to say that, sir, the mean is equal to the median and is equal to the mode. Okay, kaya nga siya naging normal kasi equal sila Di ba? Clear? Ang tinatanong ko, anong implication noon with respect to the normal curve?
Ano po sir, normal po yung distribution, meaning symmetric po yung kanyang distribution.
Oo, kaya nga. Normal ang distribution, symmetrical ang distribution, ano ibig sabihin? Anong implikasyon noon? With respect, anong implikasyon ng findings ng survey na One, the average IQ of Filipinos is 100. Di ba sabi ko sa inyo sa definition ng statistics, yung interpretation, yung implication is something that we don't see in the figure. Okay? You cannot see that one nor read, okay, in the figure. Yung implication. It's something that you don't see nor read. Okay? So kung nakikita ko naman na asymmetrical siya, bell-shaped siya.
We'll
Okay?
try.
So kung bell-shaped siya, kung ang mean ay 100, ang median ay 100, ang mode ay 100. Okay, automatic yung kasi sinasabi symmetrical ang distribution eh. Okay? So ang tinatanong ko dito is, what does the survey result imply when we say that the average IQ of Filipinos is 100? Ha?
Try lang po.
Ano, sige, Miss May Kakayan.
Try lang po. 50% of the 50% of the average, wait lang, 50% of the Filipinos have the 100 IQ. Wait lang, sir. Pinaform ko lang po.
Miss May Kakayan?
Wait lang, sir. Na ano ko po yung words.
50%?
Ano po? 50% of the scores of the Filipinos.
Anong 50% of the scores?
Ay, 50% of the Filipinos have the, wait lang, have 100% IQ po.
Anong 100% IQ?
Ay, 100, wait lang, sir. Nagkandaan na. Wait lang po, perform ko lang po yung sentence.
Okay, I will give you 1 minute. Because it's 5:29. You're there already, Miss May Kakayan. I-construct mo lang yung interpretation mo kasi hindi pwede sa akin yung paligaw-ligaw na ano. Hindi pwedeng hindi tama ang salitang sinasabi, okay? Pasensya na kayo, magpit ako pagdating sa sa computation, sa interpretation, analysis, etc., etc., okay? Kaya gusto ko, eksaktong salita ang sasabihin sa akin, okay? Oh, yes. Are you ready, Miss May Kakayan?
Opo. 50%.
Okay, go.
50% of the Filipinos has an IQ equal to 100. So, complete na po ba?
Ha?
Ano po, 50%
Are you
of the,
sure?
wait lang po, average score of the Filipinos. 50% of the Filipinos has an average of 100 IQ.
Are you sure?
Dito na ako, sir. Wait lang.
Are you sure 50% of the Filipinos have an average of IQ of 100? Are you sure? Kulang, Miss May Kakayan. Anyone? Kulang siya, Miss May Kakayan. I-construct mo mabuti yan. Anyone from the group? What does it tell you? What does it imply? If I say that the survey results is that the average IQ scores of Filipinos is 100. Hoy, isip kayo. Mag-isip kayo. 5:31 na. Okay. So, kung wala makasagot, Miss Mika, kaya kulang yung sagot mo,
Ay,
kaya ayaw
last.
kong tanggapin. Kaya ayaw kong
Baka kaya.
tanggapin. Now. Isama niyo yan sa assignment yung sasagutin sa akin na ipopost sa Google Classroom, okay? Kasama noong, anong pinapagawa ko sa inyo, yung, pinapakompute sa inyo yung ano di ba, yung, ano yung pinapakompute sa, binigyan ko kayo ng score sa 15 scores, right? Yung 54, 55, 50, 54, 58, 58, 60, and so on. Okay, I asked you to compute for the variance and the standard deviation, right?
Yes po.
Right?
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes po.
And then I asked you to compute for the coefficient of variation of data ABC. And then third, sagutin niyo yung tanong ko na yan. What does it imply when you say that the average IQ scores of Filipinos is 100? Okay? Okay?
Okay po.
Okay, you may stop sharing. Thank you for sharing the module in this class. Okay, so do you need what do you call it, the documentation?